President Joe Biden made a decision that shook American politics. It was a decision that would reverberate through the halls of Congress, the media, and the American public for months to come. The decision was not just a simple act of presidential power, it was a move that would test the very fabric of American democracy and the principles of justice and fairness. On December 1, 2024, he pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. This act was unprecedented in modern American history, as no sitting president had ever pardoned a close family member in such a high-profile case. The news broke early in the morning, and by noon, it was the leading story on every major news network. This pardon wiped away Hunter's federal crimes. These crimes included charges of tax evasion and illegal business dealings, which had been the subject of intense media scrutiny and public debate. The legal battles had been long and arduous, and the pardon effectively ended all ongoing investigations and court proceedings. It was a move that ignited a firestorm of debate. Republicans were outraged, calling it a blatant abuse of power and a clear example of nepotism. Democrats were divided, with some supporting the president's decision as a compassionate act of a father, while others saw it as a dangerous precedent that could undermine the rule of law. The nation grappled with the implications of this presidential act. Town halls and community meetings were filled with heated discussions, and protests erupted outside government buildings across the country. People questioned whether the president had overstepped his bounds, and what this meant for the future of presidential pardons. The pardon came at a tense time in American politics. The country was already deeply divided on numerous issues, from healthcare to immigration, and this decision only served to deepen those divisions. Congress was in a state of gridlock, with both parties unable to agree on even the most basic of legislative measures. Former President Donald Trump was gearing up for a potential re-election bid. He seized on the pardon as a key talking point, using it to rally his base and criticize the Biden administration. At rallies and in interviews, he repeatedly brought up the pardon, framing it as evidence of a corrupt and biased system. He had repeatedly claimed that the justice system was biased against him. Trump's supporters echoed these sentiments, believing that the pardon was proof of a double standard in American justice. They argued that if Hunter Biden could be pardoned for his crimes, then Trump and his associates should also be given leniency. Biden's pardon of his own son seemed to lend credence to Trump's claims. The media was quick to draw parallels between the two cases, and pundits debated the ethical and legal ramifications of the pardon. Some saw it as a necessary act of mercy, while others viewed it as a dangerous abuse of presidential power. It fueled the narrative of a two-tiered system of justice. Protesters took to the streets with signs decrying the perceived inequality, and social media was ablaze with debates and opinions. The pardon had not only legal and political implications but also social and cultural ones, as it forced the nation to confront its values and principles. President Biden's pardon was remarkably broad. It was a decision that sent ripples through the political landscape, raising eyebrows and sparking debates across the nation. The scope of this pardon was unprecedented, covering a wide array of potential federal crimes that Hunter Biden might have committed over a significant period. Specifically, the pardon spanned a decade, addressing any possible infractions that could have occurred within those 10 years. This extensive coverage was seen by some as a protective measure, while others viewed it as a necessary step to close a contentious chapter. Among the issues addressed was Hunter Biden's tax evasion conviction. This was a significant part of the pardon, as it involved substantial amounts of money and legal scrutiny. Hunter had been convicted of failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes, a figure that underscored the gravity of the charges. The unpaid taxes were a focal point of the investigation, highlighting the financial discrepancies and the legal obligations that were unmet. This aspect of the pardon was particularly controversial, as it touched on issues of fairness and accountability. In addition to the tax issues, the pardon also covered Hunter's conviction for illegally possessing a firearm. This charge added another layer of complexity to the case, involving not just financial but also legal and safety concerns. The firearm possession charge was a serious offense, reflecting broader issues of legal compliance and personal responsibility. The investigation into Hunter Biden's activities began in 2018, marking the start of a long and detailed inquiry. This investigation was thorough, involving numerous legal experts and extensive document reviews. It was a process that sought to uncover the full extent of any wrongdoing. The investigation was led by a U.S. attorney appointed by then-President Trump, adding a political dimension to the legal proceedings. This appointment was significant, as it underscored the high stakes and the intense scrutiny surrounding the case. The involvement of a Trump-appointed attorney highlighted the bipartisan interest in the investigation's outcome. The focus of the investigation was on Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine and China. These international connections were a key part of the inquiry, raising questions about the nature and legality of his business activities. The dealings in these countries were scrutinized for potential conflicts of interest and legal violations. However, despite the extensive investigation, it ultimately resulted only in the tax and gun charges. This outcome was seen by some as a limited resolution to a complex case, while others viewed it as a necessary conclusion to a prolonged legal battle. The scope of forgiveness, as defined by President Biden's pardon, remains a topic of ongoing debate and analysis. President Biden faced immediate backlash for the pardon. Critics accused him of nepotism. They argued that he was using his power to protect his family. Biden defended his decision. He maintained that Hunter had been unfairly targeted for political reasons. Biden claimed that the prosecution of Hunter was an attempt to damage him politically. He argued that his son was a private citizen. Biden insisted that he had never interfered with the Justice Department's investigation. Hunter Biden acknowledged the controversy surrounding the pardon. He expressed gratitude for his father's decision. Hunter also admitted to making mistakes in the past. He vowed to move forward and help others struggling with addiction. Hunter's legal troubles and subsequent pardon put him in a difficult position. He became a pawn in a larger political game. The pardon brought renewed scrutiny to his business dealings. The pardon drew sharp criticism from Republicans. They accused President Biden of hypocrisy. Republicans pointed to Biden's previous promises of upholding the rule of law. They argued that the pardon undermined these promises. Republican lawmakers called for investigations into the pardon. They accused Biden of abusing his power. Some Republicans even suggested that the pardon was part of a larger cover-up. The reaction from Democrats was more mixed. Some Democrats defended Biden's decision. They argued that he had the right to pardon his son. Other Democrats expressed concern. They worried that the pardon would damage Biden politically. Some Democrats argued that the pardon was a private matter. They said that it was within Biden's rights as a father. Other Democrats felt that the pardon would energize Republican voters. The pardon of Hunter Biden drew comparisons to past presidential pardons. Critics of the pardon pointed to Richard Nixon's pardon of himself. They argued that both pardons were examples of presidents abusing their power. Supporters of the pardon argued that each case was unique. They said that Biden's pardon was justified. They pointed to the politically charged nature of Hunter's prosecution. The pardon of Hunter Biden set a precedent for future presidents. This unprecedented move by President Biden has sparked a nationwide debate, raising eyebrows and questions about the extent and limits of presidential power. The decision to pardon his own son has not only stirred controversy, but also set a new benchmark in the annals of American politics. It raised questions about the limits of presidential power. Critics argue that this act could be seen as an abuse of power, potentially undermining the integrity of the office. Supporters, however, claim it was a necessary step to protect a family member from what they perceive as politically motivated charges. This dichotomy has led to a broader discussion about the role of the presidency and its influence over the justice system. The pardon also highlighted the politicization of the justice system. Many believe that the justice system should remain impartial and free from political influence. However, this event has brought to light the deep-seated issues within the system, where political affiliations and power dynamics often play a significant role. The public's trust in the justice system is at stake, and this pardon has only added fuel to the fire. The pardon could have implications for the 2024 election. As the nation gears up for another election cycle, this event could become a pivotal issue for voters. Candidates from both parties are likely to use this pardon as a talking point, either to criticize the current administration or to defend the actions taken. The political landscape is already fraught with tension, and this pardon has only added another layer of complexity. Donald Trump has hinted that he might pardon his own supporters if he is re-elected. This statement has further polarized the political climate, with his supporters cheering the possibility and his detractors warning of the potential consequences. The idea of using presidential pardons as a political tool is not new. but it has never been as openly discussed and debated as it is now. This could include those involved in the January 6th Capitol attack. The events of that day are still fresh in the minds of many Americans, and the idea of pardoning those involved is highly controversial. Some see it as a necessary step towards healing and reconciliation, while others view it as a dangerous precedent that could encourage future acts of violence and insurrection. The pardon of Hunter Biden has added another layer of complexity to an already contentious political landscape. As the nation grapples with the implications of this decision, it is clear that the debate over presidential pardons and their impact on the justice system and political climate is far from over. The coming months and years will likely see continued discussion and analysis of this unprecedented move and its long-term effects on American politics.